Hello and welcome to the Wild Podcast, where we bring the best of the outdoors to wherever you are. I'm Johnny.
And I'm Andy. And in each episode we talk with world-class adventurers, athletes, scientists and creatives to unpack the untold stories of high performers, modern explorers and our wild places.
This episode is brought to you by Absolute Wilderness. Delicious freeze-dried meals to fuel your next adventure, made locally in Nelson, New Zealand. My personal favourite is the Tom Kha Gai curry, but there are so many tasty options for every meal. Use the coupon code THEWILD at checkout to get 15% off your order for the next 2 weeks. Visit absolutewilderness.co.nz.
Today's guest is Kyle Mulinder, aka Bear Kiwi, photographer, kayak guide and social media guy.
In this episode, we talk about love, the notorious octopus story, and how to make a living following your passion. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Hey, kia ora guys. Thanks for having me on. This is very exciting.
So it's kind of funny. We're actually recording this interview on what happens to be Valentine's Day, but it also happens to be 5 days out from your wedding, I believe.
Yeah, pretty romantic experience hanging out with you lads on this day of love, isn't it? So, but yeah, I'll deal with it. And yeah, I am getting married in a few days, which is hectic. It's not actually hectic. It's not as stressful as I thought it'd be,
Maybe that's a bad thing.
Well, firstly, congratulations on that. It's awesome. But I was just wondering if we could start, seeing as it is the day of love and all that, with your personal love story. How did you meet Lisa, is it?
Yeah, it is Lisa. Well, that's an interesting one. Well, see, in the summertime, I'm a tour guide here in Naval Tasman, and so being a tour guide, you don't really actually meet many local girls. You're sort of surrounded by travellers all the time. And so, yeah, meeting a local is always bloody difficult, meeting a actual Kiwi girl. And we were at Hot Mamas with all my mates way back in the day when Hot Mamas was a bar, cafe in Motueka here, at a local quiz night one night. And there was a pretty good-looking girl sitting with her parents having dinner. And my mates, basically it was a bet you can't go sit down at that table and get that chick's number in front of her parents. So I did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and yeah, so I just walked over, sat down and introduced myself and then realised, oh shit, they're Kiwis. Oh no, what have I done? And worse off, they're even local, so which is great. And 7 years later, here I am. So yeah, started off pretty cheeky, and I imagine it'll end all cheeky too. So.
And you proposed in the Able Tasman. Why did you choose that?
Yeah, well, that's a very special place for both Lisa and I. Lisa's actually from this region. I'm from the North Island, but moved down here in 2000. And I consider the Able Tasman Park home for me, my tūranga waiwai. Very special place that I've always been connected to. I've been guiding in the park for 15 years. And we really enjoy going out into the national park ourselves and enjoying it as locals, as Kiwis, and I couldn't really think of anywhere else that I'd rather have a special moment,
That's very cool. And you shared it on your brand Bear Kiwi, which I'm sure everyone listening to this already knows about. How did you actually start the Bear Kiwi brand? I've always wondered that.
Yeah, that's a funny one, isn't it? The name first off, Bear Kiwi, that always gets people like thinking I'm a nudist or something, but I actually started Bear Kiwi I had the idea probably about 07, 08, 2008, 2007. I always, when I started sea kayaking, I also started taking photos and really had a passion for photography. Didn't know much about video at the time, but really loved photography. And my photos started becoming some of the local tourism companies' brochure photos. And it was also my role at the beginning of the season, tourism season, to drive around the country and deliver all the brochures into all the hostels and information centres and hotels all around the country. And I would literally load up an entire van and I just decided of brochures, and I just had this gut feeling that this was an environmental disaster, that this is just static marketing, and there must be a new way, there must be something better than this crap of paper and consumption out there. And how do travelers actually know the difference between different operators when all they're doing is reading what the operator wants them to know? And so talking with all my clients about this idea and bits and pieces, it sort of came down to the idea that I should have my own guide and tell travelers these things, because I knew New Zealand really well, but I didn't like the idea of the paper thing. And I brought an iPod way back when, big old clicking iPod, and you could put YouTube videos on it. And I had this idea that what if I made videos that were about a minute long that anyone can access? They'll be free on this iPod. You just download them. And when you roll into a town, you can click on the region and you'll see a bunch of the tourist activities. And we'll call it New Zealand Uncovered. And I'll make an online guidebook, so to speak, to it. And over a few beers, the beer New Zealand Uncovered turned into beer Kiwi. And it wasn't as successful as an online guide. Instead, the videos, the photos were picked up more on social media, which came along around the same time. And the brand Beer Kiwi continues today as social media. And yeah, and that's basically it. So that's the journey. It's just been a lot of evolution and rolling with the punches. I got laughed at, got told this is the stupidest idea so many times when I started it. You know, you're rocking up to tourism operators saying, I'll make you a tourism video. It's going to cost you this much, but I'm going to host it and I'm going to make it the way I want it to be. And it's not going to be an advert. Mate, no one's going to believe you. You know, everyone thought I was an idiot. So, but now that's the way it is. That's what everyone wants. So I think I was a bit ahead of my time at the time, to be honest.
You definitely were. That's like way back in the early days of social media, Facebook, YouTube. Was Instagram even a thing then?
Instagram wasn't even a thing. It was basically just Facebook and YouTube, and that was it.
So what did you do in those early days to sort of build the momentum and get people to take you seriously?
No one took me seriously. No one still takes me seriously. You know, if I try, I can't even tell people what I do for a job. Like, if I tell people that I am a travel photographer, they go, oh, yeah, cool. If I tell them I'm a videographer, they're like, oh, yep, so, you know, work for the news or something like that. No, just with GoPro, they're like, oh, yep, so what are you going to do when you grow up? But if I tell them I'm a tour guide, they're like, oh, that's a cool job. So no one takes me seriously. It's Peter Pan syndrome.
You don't call yourself an influencer at all?
I hate that word. That's a really obnoxious. For me, I find it really obnoxious to be called an influencer. I don't know if I influence people. You know, that seems really. I don't know. It feels very self-entitled to call myself that. It's a hard one. I don't actually know what to call my profession. You know, I flew to California last week, and you have to fill out on the form what you do for a job, and I just write tour guide. Or
you're going to be getting pretty close to being an influencer at 63,500 followers on Instagram. There's a fair few people out there who'll be following what you do, trying to recreate the whole octopus situation.
Yeah, I think when I think influencer, I think of a tiny little girl holding a cup of tea, sitting on her blanket, selling crap. You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's what I mean. That's for me. That's what I see influencers as. For me, I'm out here promoting destinations, adventure, getting out there and having some fun. I work hard with destinations. I get approached by brands a lot, but for me, I struggle to work with brands because I don't want to sell people. I don't, you know, it's social media. That's a really personal place for people. Most people are sitting in their bedroom looking at the content that I post, and I don't want to walk into their bedroom and sell them Tupperware. I want to, if I'm going to tell them about something, I want to tell them something that I genuinely enjoy and think is awesome. You know, that I hiked up Mount Owen, that I went to the Northern Territories of Australia, that I, went to California, went snowboarding in Tahoe. I want to tell them about things that genuinely, in my world, are awesome, and that my audience and followers are those people as well. And they are really awesome. Like the people who follow me, man, the comments that I get back is just super inspirational. They're just such similar people to me. And that's real. For me, that's what real social media should be,
That must be an amazing feeling, having that sort of effect on people. What do you sort of see as like the most amazing opportunities this Bear Kiwi thing's opened up for you?
Oh, mate. Traveling the world's great fun. Traveling New Zealand is awesome. I think the best thing is that I'm 37 and I live on the beachfront in Motueka in a tiny little shack, and I'm about to marry one of the most beautiful women in the world. That, to me, that's the best opportunity ever. It's given me bread on the, bread and butter. It's given me food in my belly, roof over my head, and a car to drive. That's the most important part.
Man, it's a really, really nice way to look at it. How did you come to have that sort of mindset and way of looking at life and the world?
Mate, I'm a tour guide by trade, so money has never been a priority for me. My first job straight out of high school, I came down and I studied adventure tourism at Whenua Outdoor Pursuit Centre, which now is the Nelson Polytech Adventure Tourism course, which I highly recommend if anyone wants to get into anything in the outdoor industry, or you just don't know what to do with your life. Go do a year of that, mate. Bloody hell, life-changing. And then my first job out of that was raft guiding on the Buller River, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners out there will understand that the world of tourism, you start at the bottom, literally at the bottom, and money has never been a priority. I've lived a very good life because I'd say I'm richer in experiences and with friends and love around me, and that's the most important part. And it's funny that there's people that I went to school with or other people that I know that, I guess my clients as well, that come out on these trips and they make thousands and thousands of dollars probably a week, but they just seem so bloody miserable.
Yeah.
People are leaving our shores and running overseas straight away to go and chase the money and work in the mines. And yet I can just live on the beach here and it's right there, it's right in front of us. You don't need money. You just need a good life around you. And that's easy, and that's the most important. But yeah, so I guess that for me, that's just been an evolution of that for me.
Well, that's really beautiful, man. But the whole, social media, working with brands kind of thing, having a lot of followers on Instagram, it's sort of sold as like a very glamorous idea these days. A lot of people are chasing that lifestyle and trying to sort of game the system and stuff. I'm just wondering, from someone who's on that side of the coin, so to speak, could it sort of talk about any of the downsides or any of the dark sides to that?
Yeah, I would say it's just it's a lot of bloody work. You work hard and you work harder than you think you're going to have to work, and then work a little bit harder and then don't sleep. And that's the reality of running your own business. And if you are, there's so many, I think, kids, and I call them kids, they're probably only about 20 or something, but they see what I do and it looks easy, because you only see the end result. They don't understand there's months of back and forward with a client while you've got 7 other clients that you're going back and forward with. And until anyone comes on a campaign with me, if anyone does come on a campaign or a shoot with me, they'll turn around at the end and most of them never make it back. They just fall asleep in the vehicle on the way home. I just did a shoot in Golden Bay in the weekend with a really good friend of mine, and she's a bloody energetic bunny, but she was falling asleep in the car on the way home, and she's only 22. It's like, that's a lot of work. It's very exhausting mentally, physically, and you got to deal with rejection really well, because like I said to you in the beginning, no one takes you seriously. And so the biggest hurdle, I think, for me and for a lot of people that I've seen who have come into this industry but didn't survive is dealing with rejection. Majority of people out there, they just want to work with you. And then when you tell them what your value, it's going to cost them, they either don't answer, they don't call back, or they just leave, or they tell you to your face that you're a joke, because that's the hardest part is no one sees value in, like say a wedding photographer. They'll be like, how come he's worth that much for 2 hours? Because you only see them for 2 hours on that one day. What you don't see is the 5 weeks before the wedding where that wedding photographer had to justify them over another job. Then the 5 weeks of going back and forward with the clients about the plan, what they want to do, where they want to go. And then the 2 weeks after of them editing and then the re-editing to make it look like Bridezilla looks amazing. No one sees that side of any of this stuff. And so for me, that's always been the hardest part. And I would say Bear Kiwi was never successful as a business until Lisa, my soon wife-to-be, got involved, because I cannot do business. I'm a terrible businessman. I struggle to put a price on top of what I do. So I just run at a bloody loss. For those people who want to get into it, that's the hardest part. It's not about going out and getting the gear. It's about actually taking it seriously and putting, as wild as you see some of those people out there, they are still business people running it properly,
Do you think there's room for people to still grow brands like you have on Instagram and on social media, or do you think that's largely past, like it's become a lot harder, or has there been any change?
Shit, no, I don't think. I think anyone can do it, and the uniqueness in creating it—that's the hard part. And it's not about. And I think where it comes down to is, we are all individual snowflakes, and you've just got to stick to what you are, and not just keep adding your style onto someone else's style. I've been a shocker for it. I'll start editing a photo and then I'll start playing around a bit because, it might look cool like so-and-so's photo or image. It's just do, you do you, boo. And that's it. And that's the best thing you can be, is be honest and be who you are. And people will respect and follow that more than you trying to be someone else. And it just takes time. It takes a long bloody time. I'm only at 60,000 followers. I'm not even, I'm not one of these big time followers at 100,000 followers. And I started this in 2009. Its official, Bear Kiwi's official launch was 2009, 1st of October. So that takes a long time.
I think I started following you when you were about 5,000 followers. It's been quite impressive to watch it grow from there. It's been very cool.
Yeah. And, for me, everyone does it. You watch your numbers for a while and then you stop watching your numbers. And I think it's probably like picking up a girl in a pub. If you go in there and you're hungry looking for a girl, mate, they're going to avoid you like the plague because you look like a freaking wolf. Whereas if you go in, relaxed, having a good time with your mates, then you'll meet a proper person because you'll be a proper human. And I think it's the same with chasing numbers on social media. If you're chasing them, it's just yucky. Whereas if you're just a normal person doing what you do and accepting that it takes time, then it'll slowly flow out there. But I guess the biggest thing is to create content that you want to see, not content you think people want to see. And I think that's what a lot of people out there are doing, is they are overthinking their content. And I'm a shocker for it. But if you create stuff that you're actually happy with, then that will be your audience, will be those similar kind of people. Your audience will be you. You are literally talking to yourself. And I've found 65,000 followers out there that are myself around the world, Man,
it's so cool. I really like your attitude to all of this. And, you seem super grounded and super down to earth. I was wondering, does that have anything to do with your upbringing, perhaps? I understand you grew up on a sheep farm in a little town called Norsewood?
Yeah, yeah. And wouldn't say many people know where Norsewood is. Google it right now. I reckon everyone listening to this podcast is Googling Norsewood. What the bloody hell is that? But if you're a Kiwi out there, you'll probably ever remember, or you were forced to wear those itchy Norsewear socks. That is the town of Norsewood. The nearest big town is Dannyburg. Yeah, but it's literally between Palmerston North and Napier. It's tiny little town, and that was my upbringing there. Small rural kid, one older brother, and awesome mum and dad who just arrived yesterday for the wedding, actually. So, and we were never rolling around in the dough or anything like that, but we were rolling around and building dams and playing on the farm and stuff.
What first got you into the outdoors? Was it something your family had always done, or did you sort of drive yourself towards that?
Yeah, no, that was definitely always in the family. My old man's big into his tramping and things like that, so we're right on the foothills of the Ruahine Ranges and at the headwater of the Manawatu River. So we would always, we'd be playing up in the ranges, and Dad loves his fly fishing, so I'd spend my childhood traipsing up and down the Tukituka River and places like that, following him. So the outdoors has always been something I've been into. I was big into the old army cadets when I was at high school and playing war games and stuff in the bush. And so, when I finished high school, I was going to go into the army, but I decided to do a year adventure tourism course. I'd never even heard of adventure tourism. And that was the big turning point of realizing that, I actually really like the outdoors, because you don't really think of the outdoors as a place for work, and that was me. But all as a kid, every holiday it was camping and things like that. So it's always been in the outdoors in our family.
And do you still get back into the Ruahinas at all? I spent some time in there recently, and it's got absolutely smashed by the winds. It's a crazy place.
Yeah, that thick leatherwood, mate. That'll knock you. You can't walk through that, eh? Look, if I ever get up home, it's not as much as I'd like to. Probably only once a year or something like that. Normally go for a little walk with Dad up in the hills and take some binoculars and look at some deer on the ranges and things like that. But that's about it.
That's cool. We can't really do this podcast without mentioning that that's not the elephant in the room. I guess it's the octopus in the room. That video of you getting hit in the face with an octopus. It's like, tell us about that. I mean, I've seen it on TV. I've seen you talk about it. But how did that come about, and what was the experience of having something go viral like?
Yeah, yep. So I am the guy who got slapped in the face with an octopus by a seal. So that was that was a hell of a journey. That was so funny. So it was funny. We were actually out on a shoot with GoPro. It was for the launch of the new Hero 7 camera, and it was 2 weeks before the camera was going to go live. And so GoPro were doing a launch here in New Zealand with ambassadors from all over the globe. So there was a whole crew of us all flew in together into Christchurch. I think there was about 30. And we got split up into teams of 4 or 5 and all did our own sort of Amazing Race style journey to Queenstown where we'd all hang out. And my team consisted of the famous How to Dad. There was a guy called Rodrigo from Brazil, or Snap Air on Instagram, and another guy from Japan called Taiyo Mizuri. And that was our team. We got given camper vans and we drove up to Hamner, Kaikoura, and then back down to Christchurch. And when we were in Kaikoura, we were out sea kayaking with Kaikoura kayaks, and we're out there, and we saw we're just having an awesome day, and we actually saw a big bull seal fighting an octopus, because that's what they do to eat them. They bring them to the surface, thrash them around, and we were sitting a good 20 meters off. Our guide was just sitting us there talking to us about it, and we had the GoPros out, and then the battle kind of just went underwater. We're like, oh, shit. We're just all looking around, like, where was it? And Taiyo, sitting in front of my kayak, just had the camera rolling. And that seal just up out of nowhere, just literally. So they must have gone down under the water, and octopus must have gone for a dash, and he just must have caught it wherever. But he came up to the surface and went through another thrash, and just so happened my face was in the way, and it all got caught on camera. So, and then, put the video out there, and banana sandwich, mate, it just went crazy. Holy shit, it was just out of control. I think it got 2 million views on the first day or something crazy like that. And then it just, everyone, the world's media want to know who this guy was that got slapped in the face. So first it started with Instagram. My inbox, it just filled up. It would hit 99 plus, and I just couldn't keep up with all the replies. And then, so I just do the decline all, and then it'd be full up in a second. I'm like, holy shit. And then you decline all, and then it'd be full again. I'm just sitting there going, what is happening here? And you worry that you're missing opportunities, that you're missing, mates who are telling you stuff, because your mates are like, bro, I just saw you on it's just people tagging me saying, bro, I just saw you here. I'm like, yeah, shit, oh, shit. So you're just deleting them all. And then the phone started ringing because my email started. So here was the problem. My email went out, and so the news agency started emailing me, and I had an automatic reply because I was away with a GoPro event. And on my automatic reply is my phone number. So next thing you know, I've got everyone. My phone number's out there. My last name's out there.
Oh, no.
And it was literally put my talk on the phone, hang up, boom, talk on the phone again, hang up. Like it was just didn't stop ringing for 24 hours. And so Lisa was really smart. She made an automatic reply that changed the automatic reply in the emails to here's the story. Just credit these people, go ahead. So that stopped all the questions. And then, it was funny. It was like the BBC, the New York Times, different, when people phone you up and they say, oh, we're the New York Times, we'd like to do an interview. You're like, what the hell? But yeah, it was bloody funny, and it's still going, and people still see me, and they want to get a selfie with me when they realize it's actually me and stuff like that. So it's I think it's funny as hell, man. I love it. It's so, like, what's the chances? Like, that's one in a gazillion,
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you still work as a sea kayak guide, obviously. Is that something you sort of choose to do now, or is it something you still have to hold down a day job? And how do you fit that around the Beer Kiwi stuff?
Yeah, so I sea kayak guide because it's bloody good for my soul. That's why I do it. I work for Able Tasman Kayaks, and I really here in the Able Tasman, and I really only do it the overnight trips because I just think that national park is one you've got to sit and just stop and let it breathe there. And all tourists are amazing, and when you get to spend more time with the tourists, they become incredible humans. You get to hear their story. And whereas if you're just on a half-day tour, you don't actually get a chance to talk to people or even get to know their name. So that's why I do the overnight trips. But for me, I just help out in the busy period of summer because they need as many guides as they can get. So I was doing a GoPro tour that finished 12th of December, and I think the 13th of December was my first 5-day tour of the season. So it's like, so I don't really have time for it, but I love it. I can't not do it. And I think I did my last trip a couple of days ago, which was a 3-day tour. And I don't think I'll be back in the park now because Beer Kiwi, it's just that it's quite convenient being the Christmas, New Year holidays, because nothing really happens with Beer Kiwi. All the marketing people all go on holiday, and then about this time of year, they've all got back, and I stuck in these emails saying, hope you've had a great summer holiday. Just wanting to know, will you come and do something? It's like, well, I haven't been on holiday, but yeah. So I definitely do it because I love it, and that's what it's good.
Nice. How did your partnership with GoPro come about? Because you're sort of synonymous with GoPro now. It's like, most of your photos would be taken on a GoPro and videos. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't exclusively shoot 100% GoPro. I have a Panasonic Lumix, but I don't really use it very much. So I actually just really enjoy shooting with the GoPro, and I actually get a kick when I put photos out there and people just don't believe it's GoPro, and that's, for me, I don't know why, I get a bit of a buzz out of that. But yeah, for me, it started years ago. When I started Beer Kiwi, I had a mate of mine, Matt Ware, he was a buddy of mine from high school, helped me out with the first Beer Kiwi videos for the first few years. And he was shooting on a Canon, and I had this flip cam. I don't know if anyone remembers those things, but I used to put it in a Ziploc bag to keep it waterproof. And then in about 2010 or 11, I think, 2010, this crazy thing called GoPro came on the scene in New Zealand. And it shot in HD, and it was waterproof. And I sold my 2 whitewater kayaks back then to buy this one camera, and got really, really excited. And since then, I've just decided that it was a style that I really liked. It was a camera that worked with my lifestyle. I break everything that I own, and that this has survived me. And I've literally sold cameras to upgrade, and just sold my life to upgrade, and things like that. And then, yeah, quite a few years ago, I created a video called The Blue Edge of Home, and it's on YouTube, and it was my first video that I ever actually filmed, 100% filmed and edited myself, because I was always surrounding myself with other mates of mine who could do video, because they were good at video and I could do the photo. But this time I was like, I'm going to make a video myself, and it was 100% shot on a GoPro. And when I published it, it went absolutely viral. It went crazy. Well, I wouldn't say viral, but it went nuts. And GoPro featured it as a video of the day. And anyone has this opportunity, and I try and explain this to a lot of people out there. But once they feature you, or anyone, it's about building a relationship. And I built a relationship with GoPro after that. You know, when you have communication with any brand, you know, just be a normal human. It's just another normal human at the other end. And I've built a relationship with GoPro, and over the years, that relationship has grown and grown. And yeah, like you said there, Andy, I am now synonymous with GoPro. I am the guy in New Zealand who makes their videos. I still pinch myself that this massive brand, this huge American brand, GoPro, chooses to hang out with this 37-year-old Kiwi fella who lives in Motueka, and no one knows where Motueka is. They think it's Nelson, you know? And so that's that. Yeah, it's still, I still can't believe it. And guys from GoPro are flying out from the States for my wedding next week.
Are you going to film the wedding on a GoPro?
Oh, there'll be a few selfies, I imagine.
Oh, awesome.
Well, speaking of being, based in little old Motueka, it's potentially one of the most beautiful places in the world. What are some of the other things you like to do close to home? Are there other adventures and trips and stuff you like to do if you do get some downtime from your busy schedule?
Yeah, well, I mean, this region's just phenomenal. You've got Kahurangi, Abel Tasman, Nelson Lakes, all around you. You know, you've got mountains, ocean, and lakes. You got it all here. You got rivers. You got the Buller. You've got all this amazingness going on. So Lisa and I, we really like getting away. We do a lot of car camping where we've got a rooftop tent and things like that, and we'll shoot away. We've got a few sneaky spots over in Golden Bay that I don't want to say on here that we'll go and camp up, and or we'll go into the Abel Tasman and take a sea kayak out. Last year, hiked up Mount Owen for a few days. That's absolutely amazing up in there. There's a lot. I find there's a lot of play in this area, and you don't have to go too far. And so for me, that's always been a key element. You know, like what did we do last year? I think we hiked into the Hefe and stayed at just up on the Katamea side, hiked up into there. Had a couple of choice wilderness meals while we were there. Thanks, boys. They were bloody delicious, I tell you. That scrambled egg stuff, hey, that blows my mind, man. I couldn't believe that's, because you see it and you think this isn't actually going to be real. And then you have it and you're like, bloody hell, this is really good. That was a pleasant freaking surprise. No one expects that from dehydrated food. But the Hefe was phenomenal. So there's there is a lot of play in this region that I'd love to do.
No, awesome. What's next for the Bear Kiwi brand? Have you got any plans for taking it further or expanding it at all?
To be honest, mate, I wouldn't know, mate. I'm not a planner. I've never planned to be where I am here. I just think it's for me. I just like to think that I'm an evolver. I evolve with what's happening and where directions are going. I do commercial shoots. I've got a really exciting shoot coming up with Mid-Canterbury Tourism, which is going to be awesome. Such a fun region to play in. You've got your Rakaia Gorge, Methven, down to all of that area there, Mount Somers and that. So we're going to go play in there. So I've got the commercial side of things where I'm actually going off and doing shoots that don't necessarily get published on Bear Kiwi Social. But then I've also got the GoPro side, and then I've got the Bear Kiwi side. And, I really don't know what the future's going to be. And that's always an uncertainty that I have to live with. And that I think a lot of people would never want to deal with if they were in this job. But I don't know what the future's going to be. I just, mate, see what happens.
What's your favorite part of all those different aspects of your work? You say you do the commercial stuff, GoPro stuff, Bear Kiwi. What space do you have the most fun in?
It's definitely the film ring, the capturing, the getting in there at the time, telling it. For me, I don't like the emailing. I don't like the back and forward. I'd rather just get it done with. But it's part of the job. The editing process has never been my strength. But once I get down to the storytelling part of the editing, it's like I can't sleep. I'm just, that's a really exciting part of the editing process for me. But just being out there, actually enjoying what's happening, like sitting there with an epic, if you got the doors off on a helicopter and you're hanging out with that, that's pretty amazing.
And I'm a little bit curious, for someone who's, so involved in the world of social media and content creation and that kind of stuff, what do you do to disconnect for a bit, sort of unwind and chill?
That's why when Lisa and I go away on our adventures, you don't see any content from it.
Nice.
Like, if you actually look at my social media, you'll notice that most of the stories and everything on there featuring some sort of destination in that, because my personal life's my personal life. And when we do go away, we don't film it. It was so weird for me to film my proposal, and the only reason I did, and I never intended to make a video, and it was weird, it became the GoPro video of the day, the proposal, was that I was shitting my pants that Lisa knew I was going to propose. And when we were going out, Lisa's like, it's really weird, you're not filming. So I'm like, oh shit, she knows. So you start filming. So it's like, oh, why aren't you filming? I'm like, oh, all right, better start filming. So I started filming everything, which was silly. But then turned out I actually got a really good story out of it. So
yeah. Was it quite nice having that moment captured?
I'm really happy I have it now, because at the time I was never going to do that. So yeah, I am glad. The camera does go away with me. I can tell you now, there are hard drives sitting here of adventures that just have never been edited. And sometimes it's because I make a conscious decision that I don't want these regions promoted by me, because I feel social responsibility behind a lot of what I will share. Because, if I share the backs of some of these cool places that we go into, then all of a sudden other people are going to know about it. And I don't really want to be the guy who started the onslaught, Not saying that travelers are bad, but, sometimes it's nice to have those places left alone.
Do you think social media has ruined any places in New Zealand? I'm sort of thinking of Roy's Peak in Wanaka as an example.
Yeah, it's I went to California 2 weeks ago, and I was part of a conference and a delegation over there to talk about over-tourism and the effects of it and what social media can and can't do to help. Because it is a big thing, like social media can help. If we create a new cultural change within people's attitudes about smoking, if we stop all smoking cigarettes, then people will start following if we are real influencers, they'll start listening to us, right? And so if we start promoting correct behavior around camping and things like that, then sweet. But it's hard to show that in a single image, and do people read the captions? So it's a difficult one. But yeah, I mean, you look at Roy's Peak and you look at other places that are, in my opinion, over touristed, like they are heavily hit. Social media definitely does have an impact of promoting it because everyone sees it and wants the shot. But then what's the answer? Do you want to take half of those tourists that are at Roy's Peak and send them to somewhere else? Or should we just keep them all there? Because it's good that they're all in one place, if you know what I mean. Like, do you want, like, you look at Abel Tasman on a busy day and everyone's actually just in the southern end of the Abel Tasman in the Astrolab. Well, should we spread them around, or should we just leave that top end alone like it is? And so social media can definitely sway and move people into directions. And that's why marketers look at social media, people like myself, as a new form of advertising. And they use us in that form to advertise. So, yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's cool you see that, that you have a social responsibility yourself, and you can, in a way, use your influence, for lack of a better word, for good.
Yeah, well, I think, and that's what we all want to do. But when you've suddenly got marketers and salespeople on the other end, we're the ones who get blamed for promoting an area, but yet we were the ones who were sent there and paid to go there. So it's an interesting one. So it's a big topic, that one, I think.
This is probably a nice place to wrap it up. But I just wanted to say all the best for your wedding.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Have you got a honeymoon planned, or are you into work, or what?
I'll be honest, haven't even thought about a honeymoon.
Yeah.
Lisa and I think we just want to go local and chill out around here. So.
And what do you do for Valentine's Day a few days before a wedding? Do you just flag it, or what?
Yeah, we didn't even do anything. Like, it's just been a day of just normality. So it's kind of funny, actually. Yeah, I think it took the shine off Valentine's Day.
It's a way to save money. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. What about you boys? Were you good lads today?
Oh, you've got to be. You get in trouble if you're not. Unless you've got a wedding planned in 5 days' time.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much for taking the time to come on the show. I really appreciate it.
Hey, sweet as guys. Good to chat.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the show.
If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe on iTunes, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Instagram @The Wild Podcast.